He's been knocking on the door in so many big events. Of course, he's won a ton of smaller events around the world, but he wants that big title. And you know, Carlo knows what it takes. Carlo seems like a player that, you know, almost like a Brooks Koepka to me in golf, to where he really shines in the majors.
Carlo Biado wins the leg.
You're exactly right. One of these two that win is definitely going to be one of the favorites to go on and hoist that title.
Carlo Biado has already been champion. The first time this event was played in Atlantic City 2 years ago, and he will start us off in this mouth-watering race to 10 for a place in the US Open quarterfinal.
All right, a nice break off. Not so sure what kind of offensive shot he's going to have here, but you can see very, very easy safety to get a snooker here, playing off the 2 with that kind of line of balls there with the 8, 5, and 6 together. So a little chip shot on the 2, and this is going to be a very difficult hit for Fedor Gorst on the incoming shot. And it's funny, you see all kinds of situations in 9-ball pool, and this is one you don't see very, very often. You know, you see clusters, but not usually this much of a cluster. So I think Fedor has to move some balls.
Foul stroke.
That's an intentional foul.
Ball in hand.
Now, one rule that we didn't go over that doesn't come up very often is if one player makes 3 consecutive fouls in a row, that's a loss of game. The main reason for that rule is to prevent some type of stalemate situations.
And you're right, it doesn't come up very often, but when it does very often, what happens is one of the players spots that the rack is unfolding in a way that there's the potential for the 3-foul rule to come into play, and tries to make it happen, tries to force his opponent into doing it.
Yeah, and it's all percentages. You know, if you see a rack that's, you know, you're an underdog to clear, and you potentially like have a player on a foul already, you will look at the 3-foul. And at this level, it's ignored a little more because it's very hard to have players, you know, they kick at the ball so well, they jump at the ball so well. It's very hard to get them on consecutive fouls. That's why you see Carlo really just trying to clear the table here in game 1. Now some changes now in the final 16. Of course, you heard it there on the first shot. We are playing now with a 30-second shot clock, which will make a big difference. He kind of tied up the 6 there. Interesting, he didn't draw the ball, staying away from the 6-9. But the other one, Michael, that hasn't been discussed is this table hasn't been played on all week. So, you know, the outer tables and, of course, the 2 tables other than this one that we're using have been played on all week. So the felt gets a little more broken, the pockets get a little tougher. The difference here is going to be the pockets are going to play a little easier, but demanding the speed of the cue ball and the line of the cue ball is going to be a little more difficult for these players.
Yeah, this table has been sitting out in the center of it all, with the lights going all the way through. The Barry Berman trophy sitting on top of it to create this sense of this is the promised land. This is what you can be doing. This is where you can be playing if you make the final 16.
Yeah, we always talk about it at the Moscone, and this is definitely another one. The deflection on the ball when you go to the new felt, the bend of the cue ball can be a little different if you use side spin, and I think that's what got Carlo there. Great look, he can get at it, but what do you do with the brown 7 all the way on the other end of the table? All right, you can see him elevating. He's going to try and put a lot of power in this and draw the cue ball. Wow.
These two players are so good that you would suspect we won't see many mistakes made, many opportunities missed. So it will be important when your opponent does do something wrong in this, you capitalise on it to the full. That's what Gorst is trying to do in this opener.
Yeah, really nice calm stroke and a good sign for Fedor Gorst. But this is what I was talking about. Shots like this, just coming 2 rails back and forth, are going to play a little different on the new slick felt. So you almost have to kind of depend on the cloth a little bit. You can't check the cue ball quite as much.
So, an interesting and somewhat eventful opening rack. Gorst got the chance to take it. There was still work to be done, but he's done it. Fedor Gorst leads 1-0 this race to 10 in the last 16. So when Carlo Biado won this title 2 years ago, in the final, he defeated Aloysius Yap of Singapore, who's also in action at the moment. He's won the first against Mario He, someone who just seems to be always in the later stages of these events over the last year or two.
Yeah, 2 big matchups for sure, and 2 names in this final 16, or actually 4 names in this final 16 that you could easily figure any one of them holding that trophy come tomorrow night.
That's what's going on just behind the main arena there. You can see decent crowds for both of these matches as well. And of course, the way these arenas are set up, you don't have to stick on one match. You can walk around and see so many different players and various different stories unfolding.
Yeah, you hear some other pool balls and see some other
leading by 1 rack to 0.
tables in the background. That's our junior event, which is something special for the juniors to be right there next to the best players in the world.
Yeah, Shane Van Boning out of the tournament, but the junior event named after him in full swing. 1-0 to Gorst.
Yeah, I mentioned in the opening that Mario He, most consistent player it seems out there, that hasn't won one of these big titles on the World Nineball Tour. And I guess Fedor Gorst, you got to put that, you know, that label with him as well. He just hasn't got to play in quite as many as Mario. All right, trying to use the brown 7 here. Uh-oh, that's a big mistake. Oh, I thought he may have let it leak. And you know, the thing there, he was trying to really wedge him on the 7, eliminating that side rail that the 2 came off of. And when you go for a little extra, sometimes it gets away from you.
I talked earlier about Gorst and his false world ranking of number 8, being down to just having missed a lot of tournaments. I think we can definitely say the same about Carlo Biado. He's 29 in the rankings, but again, that's because he's had to pass up a lot of opportunities to earn points over the last couple of years.
Yeah, nice opener there and a really nice shot after that missed 6 in game 1.
Been around for quite some time. He'll be 40 on the last day of next month.
Extension, please.
Yeah, he was a great U.S. Open champion, great World Nineball champion, just a great guy all the way around. Family man. Does a lot for the sport in Southeast Asia. All right, watch for the scratch if he happens to hit the 9.
You were talking there about Gorst looking to land his first matchroom title. Now that might seem a strange thing to say when we've been referring to him winning the World Championship, but that was in the last staging before that became a matchroom event, so what you're saying is absolutely correct. Has won 1 matchroom event, albeit on the team side of things. He was on the winning Mosconi team on 1 occasion.
Extension
Yeah, a
call.
lot going on. You can see the 5-9 kind of locked up together here on the bottom rail. Not really sure what he can do attacking there, and it's going to be very difficult to open these balls off of the pink 4 here. He tried though, and if that's any sign though, that's a sign of comfort. Not only to hit it that well with the attempt, but you know, just to go for it itself. Now he's, I think, going to play some type of rail first safety here, running the cue ball up the table. Don't think the 9's playable. Try to utilize the 8. Caught the point on the side pocket. He was trying to coast the cue ball up the table. Now Carlo will try and come 2 rails behind the purple 5, trying to hold the cue ball right where the 5's at, sending the 5 towards that left middle side pocket. You hear the applause, very educated crowd here at the US Open, knowing that that attempt there was pretty on point.
Well, for a lot of these people, it's the highlight of their year. They live and breathe the game here in the States. And then every 12 months, they get to come and enjoy this feast at their national championship. And some come from outside the US as well.
Yeah, it's had a rich, historic crowds always through the years, and you know, a lot of people live and breathe other sports, but the difference in pool is all these people play, and they play, you know, very competitively, most at an amateur kind of thing, but it's a serious game to these folks, and they're here to sweat the biggest championship in the world. Oh, he's going for it. Oh, the 9-ball.
Yeah, it was heading in that direction. Always looked more likely than not that it would run out of gas before it got there.
Yeah, and you're seeing a little struggles from Carlo. Again, getting used to the new cloth. That's going to be a big difference for these players.
Yeah, Biado just looking a little edgy. I don't think that's because of the setting. Maybe it's more a reflection of the way these first couple of racks have gone. Well, did nudge the 9, but was never likely to make sufficient contact with it to knock it in, which would have made it 2-0.
Yeah, he was just kind of sweating the cue ball, making sure he didn't get elevated over the 9. Now just kind of light draw by the 7. Shouldn't be much here. Knock the 7 in, go to the rail. Playing shape for the 8 in the top right corner. You can see the 9 over the lower right corner, and that's a little the difference right there. Maybe on one of the broken outer tables that 7 ball doesn't fall, but the players are going to recognize the pocket's going to play a hair easier on the main table. The difficulty is going to be, and they're not easy by any means, but just a little easier. It's really going to be about keeping your emotions in check, and the physical side of the thing is really the felt, getting used to the new felt.
Fedor Gorst wins the second.
So Carlo Biado has had his chances in the first couple of racks. Fedor Gorst has ended up winning them both. He leads 2-0. Ralph Souquet looking to bridge a very long gap. 21 years since his one and only US Open title. He's in the last 16, but he's 2-0 down against young Alexa Pejcelj of Serbia. And they have completed another rack in that Mario Hia Lucius Yap match. Yap did win the first. I'll let you know as soon as I can tell you who has won the second. This is Alexa Pejcelj from Serbia. Had that great run at the UK Open last year.
Yeah, I really like that kid. Super talent, and really nice guy, and super respectful, and just loves being out here doing what he appreciates the most, playing some 9-ball.
Just looking at the junior event going on to his left there, he's not much older than some of the players in that, only 23. Mario He won that second rack against Lucius Yap, so that one is 1-all.
The third rack, Fedor goes to
Here,
break.
it's 2-0.
Taking the match by 2 racks to 0.
Nothing wrong with that at all, JJ.
No, Federer's always known that a player, no matter what the break format is, he figures out the break, and he's just very consistent with his delivery no matter what the shot is, and the break is no different.
1 down, 2 down, nicely on the 3. Great chance to lead, 3-0.
Yeah, we talked about it in the opening as far as, you know, in the winter break format with the pocket so difficult and the break so difficult, you know, it's not as easy to run a bunch of racks, but any of these players, if they can break and run 3 to 4 racks during a match, that's just a huge advantage.
He was still a teenager when he became world champion in 2019, beating Chang Yung Lin in the final.
Another great player we lost yesterday. After he defeated Shane Van Boening, he went on to get beat in the next round. Good to see Chang back, though, in the game. Looks pretty solid.
Yeah, well, he had certainly made himself a big contender for this title with the win over SVB, but was then quite heavily beaten by Victor Zielinski, who we'll be seeing later against David Al-Kaidi in this last 16.
Yeah, looks like he's got to go 3 rails with the cue ball with a little inside spin. This is where, like I said, the deflection of the cue ball with the new felt can get you. If you overhit it, you lose the line on the cue ball a little bit. They're a little under hit, so pretty thin on the green 6. So the cue ball's going to have a lot of speed here, Michael, and maybe going back towards that 7 and 9. Don't really think he can take a chance with the draw stroke here. We'll see. Oh, really nice. You know, in Federer, you know, we always say there's certain players that have all the shots, but that particular kind of shot, the soft with a lot of spin, was one he struggled at before. It was probably one of his weaker shots, if there is a little bit of one, and it looks like he's certainly worked on it.
Well, he's looking rock solid in this rack.
All right, should move the cue ball over to the rail. Could just hold it.
Always looked ominous. And he knocked in 2 balls on the break. Got himself a nice position, and from there he's run it out. Our first break and run of this last 16 contest, in which Fedor Gorst now leads Carlo Biado 3-0. It's the penultimate day of the 2023 US Open. Carlo Biado has been the champion before, but he's 3-0 down here in the early stages against Fedor Gorst.
Yeah, another nice break shot there, and got the one in the side. That's what the players are trying to play. Additional balls are a bonus. Got a little bit of an ugly kiss on the cue ball, sending some distance between the cue ball and the blue 2. So I don't think anything offensive here in rack number 4. And you know, when they play safeties early in the game of 9-ball, especially at this level, occasionally they get ball in hand, but you're just trying to increase your advantage. The players are so good. It's very hard, like I said. Occasionally you get ball in hand, but you're just trying to improve your next turn at the table. Not sure the safety he's playing here. Well, he's pretty comfortable with the table. That being Fedor Gorst. Like right here, for instance, he knows that Carlo's going to come to the bottom rail and make contact on the 2. Just trying to improve his next turn at the table. Maybe more of a shot to get something started for Fedor Gorst.
Such a tough route to the title 2 years ago for Biado. It was a 16-man single elimination stage that year. He had to beat the likes of Jeff DeLuna, Jason Shaw just to get there, and then Hill wins over David O'Cady in the last 16, Johan Chua in the quarters, and then close semi-final against Naoki Oi, 11-9, before beating Aloysius Yap in the final.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama that year, and Carlo kind of withstood it
please.
all during the matches. Looking at kicking across the table, but he knows if he hits the blue 2, good chance he scratches in the side. So he's going to kick 2 rails. And a shot like this is really where you have to be aware of the new felt and the ball sliding a bit. Most of the players, when they make the mistake, they'll hit a little bit to their left of the 2, coming a little more between the 5 and 2 with the cue ball. Yeah, that angle, I don't know. It may hit a little high. It just doesn't want to bend, see?
Foul stroke.
So you just have to make
Ball
that
in hand.
adjustment. We see it every year at the Moscone.
And please start the clock.
Now Carlo, even though the 2's near the side, I was going to say he may shoot this in the corner, though. That way he can command the speed of the cue ball a little better. Should be okay no matter which pocket he plays it to, but position on the 3, that's the key.
Well, he had chances in both of the first 2 racks, so I would suggest this is probably the best opportunity he's had so far.
And he's going to rub the 8 a little bit. Really nice control there, and you'll notice the players paying attention to balls. They're kind of leaning over. Remember, it's all ball fouls here. So any touch of any ball will surrender ball in hand to their opponent. Looks like he's coming for the side, maybe. So speed needs to be nice. Looks pretty good.
Put up such a good defense of his title last year. Got to the semi-finals, played Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and was well behind on a couple of occasions. Trailed 7-2, was later 10-6 down. At that stage he needed to win 5 racks in a row to stay in it, and he got 4 of them before FSR took the decider.
Like anything, it's always about the hardest one is the first game to get or the last. Now it looks like Carlo's going to get on the board. Should settle him in a bit.
Well, that's much more according to plan. Carlo Biado got his best chance so far and took it. And that's why he's got a rack on the board at last. Fedor Gorst now leads 3-1. Same score on table 2. Ralph Souquet has won the 4th rack. Trails by a couple to Alexa Pejcelj of Serbia, as you can see there. And the other match that's going on at the moment, Mario He and Aloysius Yap, not been more than a rack in it either way so far. They're level at 2-all. That is Mario He at the table. Had so many good runs and so many events of this stature over the last couple of years. Has been a 2-time World Cup winner. As part of the Austria team. Still dreaming of big-time individual glory. And still in contention to have it here this weekend. These two guys are among the favourites. And it's Biado breaking at 3-1 down.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit of a constant kind of theme here with the cue ball on the bottom end of the table. Players really, when they play the cut break, they kind of want to draw the cue ball a little more towards the center off the side rail. Center of the table, just percentage-wise, gives you the options of having a shot after the break, with the break being so unpredictable. Our first long one. Tough shot.
Made it look pretty straightforward. Fine shot from Biado, who hasn't really had a close match yet. His closest was probably his first. Abdullah Al-Shamari pushed him to 9-6. And comfortable, really, against American Nathan Wallace and the experienced Estonian player Dennis Graber to get through to single elimination. And once there, he beat Jan van Lierop of the Netherlands 10-2, and Mieszko Fortunski, very good player from Poland, gave him a bit more of a contest, but even that one finished 10-6.
Yeah, Pool's all about angles, and you can see he's a little upset, even though the pink 4 a little just inches away from the pocket, but it's all about the next ball. That's why the angle is so important. Now looking to go into the brown 7, so much thinner than it appears.
Please.
That long 2 ball, though, as long as he gets out here, that's gonna be a helper for Carlo. Oh, okay, he's gonna be all right. It's going to be a helper for Carlo, because between these two, you got to figure it's going to be a couple long balls that really make the difference in the match. When they get control, they're going to stay in line pretty well, and these are two of the best handling the pressure. But the long shots, of course, they're the most demanding, and they usually separate these two champions.
Well, this is a little trickier than he might have been anticipating, so just a touch of unexpected late drama in this 5th rack. Still would have been very surprising if it missed it, though. Talk about warming up nicely. Carlo Biado getting his first break and run of the match. Back to only 1 behind at 3-2 against Fedor Gorst. Aloysius Yap has regained the lead at 3-2 against Mario He. Yap, who, as we were saying earlier, was runner-up to Biado here 2 years ago. It's the third time the US Open's been played in Atlantic City. It was always in Virginia from its foundation in 1976 up until the move to Las Vegas, where it was played in 2019. We were due to be there again the following year, but of course COVID came along and intervened, and by the time the event did get played again in late 2021, it had moved here to Atlantic City.
3 racks to 2.
Alexa Paychelge 4-1 ahead now of Ralph Souquet over on table 2. Biado looking to draw level here.
Yeah, much more of an opening of the balls there. Better contact on the 1. And now a 2-3 combo to get started. And what looks like a table that, of course, isn't easy. A lot of work, but set up to get this match tied at 3 apiece. Still a race to 10. Semifinals will be a race to 11. And then our final race to 13. Okay, you can see the 2 hanging in the upper left corner. He has to get on the pink 4, so it's all about cue ball movement here. He can kind of draw down the rail, it looks like. I think he's going to come 2 rails off the left long rail. Yeah, see where he pointed his cue right there? He wants to catch the second rail there and then drop the cue ball between the 5, the purple 5 and 9 to get position on the pink. Looks good. It's amazing, Michael. I think you can sense it. But once the adrenaline gets going, they just kind of get engaged, and you can definitely see a different Carlo from the first couple of games.
Yeah, we saw him in his chair earlier, looking a little more nervous than you would ever expect from a player of his experience. I think he was fearing the way the match might be going, but once he started getting chances to get into the contest, he's been so efficient. He really should now complete his recovery from 3-0 down to all square.
Yeah, and this is a little decision here. Do I pound it in with a little speed? Do I hold the ball, take a little more shot on the 7? Yeah, definitely a sign of comfort and getting more comfortable as it goes. Okay, the angle going forward is kind of going 1 rail into the 9. So he's going to draw the cue ball, which on the new felt, you'll see the players, when it's right on the 50 with top spin or backspin, seems like they go backspin quite often.
So the hard work done. Routine 8 and 9 for Carlo Biado. Really, this hasn't taken very long at all to change. 3-0 down. Now he's level at 3 apiece. An adventure awaits us in the Vietnamese capital, Hanoi. We'll be there for the Hanoi Open Championship, a new event, a new major event on the World Nineball Tour. And the Sky Sports coverage will begin on the 14th of October. Stellar field from around the world. Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, although not actually its most populated city. Ho Chi Minh City has about 1 million more people.
3 racks each. Carlo Biado to break.
All that to come. By the time we go there, we'll know who is this year's US Open champion. Could be either of these guys very easily. Two of the best in the business. And after back-to-back break-and runs, Carlo Biado is level at 3-all.
Well, now we see the break getting better as well from the players. The ball's opening more. So that just means they're settling in better. And maybe our first push out. If you're new to Nineball, right after the break and only after the break, the breaker or the incoming player has the option to push the cue ball anywhere. It has to be declared. And then the incoming player has the option to take the shot or pass it back. And I don't think Fedor will be fooled here. He's going to certainly take this on. I don't think he's going to go offensive, though. I think it's going to be a lot more like, well, it looks like he's trying to size up a bank. And the reason why, he's trying to utilize the pink 4, 6, and 9 on the upper left side of the table. And the reason being is he's going to bank the 2 and then run the cue ball down the left side. And if he misses it, he figures to have cover. If he makes it, he's got shape. Now, the push-out situation, these players know it. At this level, you're always an underdog when you have to push out, but it's just part of the game. With all the ticket sales there in Hanoi City, it may become the largest city in Vietnam during that week.
Extension, please.
Kind of like the soft kick here, Michael. Just trying to live and survive for one more shot, kicking 2 rails soft underneath the 2, just bumping it. Yeah, kind of like that. This is the hard part. We talked about the new felt. The new felt bends a little more. It does a few more things than the felt that's a little more broken in that we've had, you know, play on all week. So that's the big adjustment for these players.
Yeah, we've had 4 days of play already. Started out with 256. Now down to the 16. It's very hard to look at those who remain and see anyone there who you can say, well, no chance of him winning it.
Well, I think we're seeing it on one of the outer tables now. Alexa Pascal's 6-1 over Hall of Famer and former champion Ralph Souquet. And we always talk about it in sport, especially these days, I think. You never know when one of them youngsters is going to turn the corner. And he's going to get a little out of line with the cue ball here. He's got a great shot on the pink, but it's going to be a little tougher on the green 6.
Yeah, more than 30 years of an age difference between those two players on table 2, and it's the younger man who's closing in on perhaps being the first player through to the quarters.
Yeah, what a beautiful sport, though. I mean, most of the great players start at a young age. Some start a little older, believe it or not, but you can stay a great player for a long time.
The extension, please.
But you didn't start playing till
17,
your late teens. Yeah, amazing. Ended up as US Open champion 20 years ago this year.
All right, I'm not so sure the 7 passes the 9. I think it does. That's where he'll play if it does, yes. So he kind of answered that question.
You know, sometimes you're taking a bit of a risk when you build up a match in commentary before it starts and say, these are two of the best in the business, this is going to be great. And it doesn't always turn out that way. But boy, these guys are delivering for us so far. And it's Fedor Gorst who regains the lead at 4-3. Now let's have a look at the draw for this final 16. Now you can see the sheer extent of great names and also promising youngsters. The likes of Robbie Capito, who we've been talking about for a long time and waiting for him to go on a really deep run in an event like this. He's still in there and plays Daniel Massiol, who knocked out the defending champion yesterday. Skylar Woodward against Jason Shaw. That, I guess, is really the pick of the matches in this round when you consider the transatlantic nature of it as well. And that'll be next up on this main table. Bottom half of the draw is just as strong, isn't it? Joshua Filler, who we never seem to talk much about in the early rounds of events, and it's been the same this week because he just tends to breeze through them. He's been champion already in Las Vegas in 2019. We'll see him against Ko Ping Chung. David Al-Kaidi there, winner of the last big matchroom event, the European Open last month. And that match that's going on at the moment between Mario He and Aloysius Yap. And it's Yap just ahead at the moment at 4-3.
And it's the 8th rack. Fedor goes to break, leading 4-3.
Both of our picks are still there. You went for Ko Ping Chung at the start, I went for Woodward. They're in opposite halves, JJ. Could meet in the final.
Yeah, and the players these days, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be around, you know, the eras prior to today's era, but, and, you know, they're all great. I think players at that time maybe took it a little more personal back when I played, to be fair, just because there wasn't as many great tournaments to play in, so there was so much pressure when there was a big event. But now the players, they want it really badly, but they coexist so well together, and you know, they'll beat each other in a big match and then be helping each other out on the table later on. It's just a great group of players we have in the game today.
Well, I've worked in so many sports over the years, and I've never seen camaraderie in any of them on the same level that we see in this one.
Yeah, and that's a pretty common thing, or comment from people in your position that have experienced 9-ball pool and the players themselves. All right, a funny rack here. He's set up for a bank. Maybe the 3 was tight going by the 8, or maybe it didn't play at all. Now the angle tells us everything about this bank. And Fedor considered one of the best bankers in the game.
Can we have the extension, please? I think we lost the shot clock. Just carry on.
Now the players are allowed 1 extension per rack, in addition to the 30 seconds they're allowed under the shot clock. Marcel Eckhardt, the referee from Germany, was calling for it to be registered there, and he seems to have spotted a problem with the shot clock system in the arena. We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, a couple things went wrong there. I think he felt like it was a free shot at the 3, meaning he would hold the cue ball behind the purple, trying to gain position on the pink. And now Carlo with a very difficult 3 ball and not such easy position on the pink 4 either.
Extension called.
Yeah, taking his time here, figuring this is the shot of the rack.
As I was saying earlier, we've got not seen him as much as we would have liked to in big events over the last couple of years. Did see him at the UK Open earlier in the year. Last week in Connecticut, he got to the last 16 in a pretty strong field.
Yeah, and the Filipino players, of course, the Philippines, one of the strongest countries in our game of 9-ball pool. And sometimes I think they get a little knocked technically, you know, on the cueing side of things. And I think the main reason for that is you see a lot of variety in the Filipino players with the strokes and different things. But one thing you can say is very common is the knowledge of all the Filipino players is through the roof, and pretty much all of them have heart of a champion. It's just the culture, I think, and they're really hard workers and never give up. Which, if my memory serves me, Carlo made the 3rd Filipino champion of the U.S. Open. That being Efren Reyes, Alex Pagalan prior, and Carlo Biado just a couple years ago.
Well, when Gorst left the table, he did so with slumped shoulders because he sensed what may well be about to happen. And what has happened is Carlo Biado drawing level at 4 each. I was talking about that match between Skylar Woodward and Jason Shaw. At the moment, it looks highly likely that whoever wins it will be playing Alexa Peychelles because he's 8-1 up now on Ralph Souquet. And Lucius Yap leading Mario He 4-3.
Number 10.
This is that Peychelles-Souquet match. What was that you were saying? 3rd Philippines player to win the US Open?
I believe
that's correct. Yeah.
Efren, who got to the finals, I think, twice before winning it.
Thank you,
Alex
D9.
Pagalan, it took a final
Carlo Biado to
before he
break.
took it down.
4x each.
Well, Reyes actually the only player to have lost 3 US Open finals. Has been champion.
Yeah, I think another great Jose Perica. He lost 2, I believe, U.S. Open finals. Possibly 3 also.
No, it was 2
just
he
2,
lost, yeah.
I know that's who I played in the final, and I believe it was SVB in another one. Is that correct?
No, it was Pagalan.
Oh, really?
He played, yeah, in 05.
Yeah, it's been deep in that tournament so many times, Jose. All right, another long ball. Position's there, all about the 2. Now this is where, again, the line of the cue ball is a little more difficult. So he's not going to try and check it and go between the pink 4 and the 9. He's, I think, going to go between the 7-8, a couple cushions around to the center.
Talked about the good defence that Biado put up of this US Open title 12 months ago here in Atlantic City. Put up an even better defence when he was trying to retain the world title. Won it in 2017, beat Roland Garcia. Got all the way to the final then, the next year. Was beaten in a fairly close contest by Joshua Filler. So he's so well accustomed to being right there at the very latest stages of the very biggest events.
Yeah, and there's certain things that make that no coincidence. Usually, I know at the U.S. Open for sure, the conditions are always very difficult, the pockets, but then the pressure of the big titles. I don't know what starts to separate the players, especially as the tournament moves on. He's going to fall somewhat straight. Good thing the cue ball did get off the rail. Don't think he can get above the 8, so he's going to have to play from underneath. which is always a little nervy. And he may have to elevate the cue here a little bit, trying to bring the cue ball back maybe 3 to 4 inches. Okay, he's going with a high ball. And he does have a little angle. Really good.
Well, he's doing the easy things ruthlessly in this match. And he's doing the difficult things with great consistency as well. And now he has a chance to lead for the first time.
Yeah, and talk about it in all kinds of sports, you know, little shots here and there, and that's all it's going to take between these two. So Gorst a little upset about that shot he let loose. Now he's going to cost him the lead.
Carlo
Biado was 3-0 down in this match. He's won 5 racks out of 6 since then. And now he's in front for the first time at 5-4. Ten weeks from now, Alexandra Palace in North London will once again be the setting for the Mosconi Cup as Europe look to make it 4 in a row against the United States team, led once again by the man sitting alongside me, Jeremy Jones. Ralph Eckert captains the European side for the first time, 6th of December. And Ralph will be part of our programme later on today. Always good to hear his thoughts. So with his 3rd break and run of the match, Carlo Biado has got the lead for the first time at 5-4.
course, these players are two of the best, but that break shot, you know, kind of like the driver in golf, sets everything up, and they've been very on point so far. You don't always come away with a shot. That's the, you know, kind of beauty in the game, really. I mean, you're trying to do your best, but these guys also are surviving through all these great players because of that really solid break. All right, he's going to go aggressive here, trying to cut the 2 on the upper right. There's a path down the left side of the table to bring the cue ball in position for the 3, and a little bit of a backdoor safety if he happens to miss the 2. Not sure he got the snooker. It looks like he did. And one thing you'll find on the new felt, and the players kind of just inherently adjust to it without too much thought, but the balls tend to cut a little easier just because there's not much friction with the new felt, and the felt being so clean and not broken at all. I think a real big shot in this match right here on this 2 ball. He'll kind of disregard the cue ball. That's going to come towards the 3 anyways.
So much quality on show from both players.
That's the shot you got to be careful on the new felt. When you kind of get into the cue ball, it actually lessens the travel. You can see Fedor keeping an eye on that cue ball as it barely passed the pink. Now in position to tie this match, though.
Yeah, this is certainly developing into a very close contest. He's only had one of those, really, so far in this tournament against Nicolas de Leon in winners' qualification. He won that one 9-7 to complete a hat-trick of wins over American players in the first phase of the tournament. He had seen off the youngsters Sam Henderson and Payne McBride for a total loss of only 4 racks across those 2 matches. And he got to single elimination yesterday. Beat yet another American, Billy Thorpe, who's trying to force his way back into that Mosconi team. That was 10-4. And Sanjin Pelovanovic from Bosnia and Herzegovina, who was playing so well, Gorst saw him off 10-6 to get to this stage.
Yeah, at this stage, you know, with opportunity given to both players, you expect some close matches, and we're certainly going to see that, and we've seen it all year. And then when we didn't have the close matches, we saw something special, just a player kind of dominating a match and playing just incredible pool. Seen it 3 or 4 times this year, just epic matches by one player. Eklund Kachi, that name comes to mind, and unfortunately we don't have him here at the U.S. Open, but he'll be back. Suffered an injury some 6 weeks ago or so, and just truly one of the tops in the game.
Yeah, and the news on him is that his recovery is going much, much better and faster than we'd anticipated, and we may well see him back playing before the end of the year, which is unexpected, but very good news. And good news there for Fedor Gorst. He's levelled us up once again at 5-all. When you were talking there about close matches, one that certainly doesn't fall into that category is the one that's already over on table 2. Alexa Peychelge has ended Ralph Souquet's hopes of a second US Open 21 years after his first.
Of course you can.
Peychelge, the winner, 10-1. The young man from Serbia is first into the quarterfinals and will now face either Skylar Woodward or Jason Shaw. And here on table 1, Aloysius Yap, runner-up a couple of years ago against Carlo Biado. He's got a 2-rack lead over Mario He.
Attention, please.
And with that Peichel-Souquet match now over, Max Lechner and Miguel Silva will be along on that later, after Joshua Filler versus Ko Ping Chung, which will be next up on table 2. Ko Ping Chung, who was 1 rack away from the final here last year. Joshua Filler, who's won the US Open before. So that is what is going on the other side of the arena. Back here under the lights, 5-all between Fedor Gorst and Carlo Biado, both of whom have taken a bit of a break. I was talking earlier about Gorst and his world ranking of 8, Jeremy. Now, I think we all know he's probably going to improve on that steadily. He's a better player than that. But when you look at the guys up near the top of the ranking, FSR has gone off the boil a bit. It's not been the year that Shane Van Boening was hoping for. You take all those things into account. Is there a strong case for saying that Gorst is possibly the best player in the world?
Well, that argument's been talked about before, and, you know, we have many disciplines in our sport. Of course, 9-ball pool's the biggest, and as it should be. But yeah, I mean, that's an argument that is hard to knock, really. And you know, if you went and asked Shane, right, or if you went and asked FSR, they may agree. You know.
Well, they're the rankings. This is the first time I think we've really had a proper world ranking system in the sport. They've been accumulating points from the start of 2022. Once we get into 24, some of those points will start coming off. But at the moment, it's all about accumulating. And there you can see the standings. Gorst at number 8. Now, if he was to win, he'd absolutely shoot up into those top positions. 50,000 points for the winner here. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at number 1. He's been there for a long time. The main reasons are his win here last year, his World Championship success as well. But even that world title, that was all the way back in early February. And he's stayed at number 1 largely because of those performances. Hasn't really accumulated as many points since then as he might have hoped. Shane Van Boening went out early. Joshua Filler there at number 3, the highest ranked player still in the championship. Carlo Biado back in the arena, and we're just waiting for Gorst to join us as well.
Well, I was going to say, you know, FSR, I think, you know, he had a lot of close matches, really could have been beaten prior to the round he went out. So I think he's actually been struggling a little bit on the table. I mean, that just looks like that to me. Now, when it comes to SVB this year, he's really played well for the most part. Of course, you have to make mistakes to get beat. That's just usually how it goes. But
If I could try to settle down, please.
I think the players are just catching up a little bit. The rest of them.
Goes to break. 5 racks each.
It's been wonderful stuff so far, and it's effectively a race to 5 from here.
You know, a lot of matches, and here we are. Another great break off, consistent with the one on the side. Really random if you get a shot on the lowest numbered ball after the break, but here we are, set up pretty well. And a lot of matches, you know, when we see close ones where they're just staying close the entire time, it's normally we may comment, you know, it's the first one to really make a big mistake. I kind of feel like maybe a little opposite with these two at this moment. It's going to be the first one to do something really extra special, is what I get the feeling of.
Yeah, you could be waiting a long time for a mistake from either of them.
Yeah, especially like I said earlier, you know, once your adrenaline gets going, these players have their routine they really lean on, and, you know, they don't let it get so mental, even though it's the most mental sport on earth.
Well, you would know better in terms of recognizing the signs as a player, JJ, but to me, Gorst looks exceptionally mentally tough.
Oh, absolutely. That's from all the hard work. You know, I think he was just a keen mind, period. And then when you work that hard, you just, you become stronger. You know, that's like drills or mind games, brain games. You know, it's there to test you and beat you down a little bit, but then you build back up even stronger.
He's been based here in the States for some time. He won the Derby City Classic, which is one of the oldest and most famous tournaments in this country, earlier in the year, beating Shane Van Boening to do so. Since won Turning Stone as well, another tournament that falls into that category. What he really wants to do now is win one of these big matchroom individual titles. So good runs in a couple of them this year. In Lugo at the Spanish Open in high summer. More recently at the European Open in Fulda. Quarter-finalist in both of those. If he can pop these next 3 balls, he'll be 4 racks away from getting to the quarters here as well.
Yeah, could have maybe used a little more angle there to maybe come a couple rails. He's going to come 1 rail, but oh, he did come 2 anyways. I think a smart decision there, getting a little more into the cue ball. Pool is very much different than other sports where you have to be your coach. You have to be your own caddy out there. You have to make all the decisions and then execute behind it.
Fedor Gorst.
A swift kill in that rack. Fedor Gorst fell behind for the first time at 5-4. He's back in front now at 6-5. Now, I told you about Alexa Pejcelj of Serbia being first player through to the quarterfinals. He's beaten Ralph Souquet 10-1. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
Alexa Pejcelj, the first player through to the quarterfinals. You wasn't hanging around. 10-1 win over Ralph Souquet. Tell us about the match. Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, obviously I'm overwhelmed. I played extremely good. I think I ran out. I think I gave 6-pack or 5-pack, something like that. I was really good. Match was going in my favor with breaks. It was opening up good, and if it continues like this, who knows?
Running a pack like that, we don't see it that often. Was you making the 1 ball off the break consistently?
Yeah, every break I was making 1 ball off the break. Because in the matches before this, I had some troubles with break, but I think I figured it out. So it shows now in last 16, and I'm very happy about it.
You lost a match against Woo Kun Lin. The 2nd round, I believe, so you come through the losers section. Yesterday I seen a video of you after winning a match. I could see the relief. Just how tough is it to go this far at the US Open?
Yeah, especially when you lose first rounds, as you know best. It's very hard, but I was trying to play ball after ball, and I'm happy that I came here.
Right, Alexa, you're through to the quarterfinals. Congratulations. Go and get some rest. We'll see you in a little while.
Thank you very much.
He's from Smederevo, about 30 miles along the River Danube from the Serbian capital of Belgrade.
And it's rack 12. Fedor goes to break.
He's safely into the last 8.
Leading
And
by
plenty of
6
time now
racks
to
to
go off and have some rest before he has to play again. So we've had 5 break-and runs now in this match. Fedor Gorst has just delivered his 2nd. He leads 6-5.
All right, the 2 ball got kicked upstairs, but notice the 3 hanging over the right upper corner. I think he's going to stay offensive. It's a little bit of a gamble, but whether he cuts the 2 at the 3 or comes off the right side of the 2 with the cue ball trying to kiss the 3 in and continue the run from there. I kind of like the kiss shot a little bit. Only reason being is when he comes off the right, you see how open the left side of the table is. So he'll kind of bank the 2 up and down. Now this needs to be hit with a little speed because you kind of want a ricochet effect off the side of the 2 as it goes and makes the 3 like that. And again, in 9-ball pool, if you hit the lowest numbered ball, after that, any ball counts. The 9's a winner. It happens early. Got a little flat here, a little awkward cueing. He's got to attack with some speed, whether he goes forward with the cue ball here or backwards to get on the pink 4 across the table. He's gotten in a really nice position here. He can either draw the cue ball back, playing the cue ball underneath the 9, or he can go forward and get what would be to the right side of the table to accept a little cut shot on the purple 5. And that's the problem with these two guys, is the execution is unbelievable, but maybe the brain is even better. Really two hard players to beat.
A match that's unfolded in the way this one has. A lead of 2 racks. Be worth a lot of gold. Neither player has had one since it was 3-1 to Gorst.
Surprised he played that way. Very surprised he decided to go 4 rails.
Ball in hand.
Our first big error, and I think that wasn't the execution, that was more of the decision to try and go around the table. I thought he'd just ease it in. Remember earlier I was talking about the new felt, and it's not really about the balls being made, more about the cue ball.
Talked about his mental toughness. He's going to have to bring it to bear here because he's furious with himself over that.
Yeah, this was a tricky little 4-ball out just because of the position of the brown 7. So a little thin one here on the 8. Should be struck fairly easily.
So Fedor Gorst is looking good to go 2 clear. Scratched in potting the 5, and Carlo Biado has mopped up from there. We're level again. That's 6-all. There in the Vietnamese capital in 2 weeks' time for the inaugural staging of the Hanoi Open. A wonderful field of players from all over the world will be there in pursuit of a precious matchroom title. And that, of course, will be the last counting event for the European and American Mosconi Cup teams. Jason Shaw knows all about that wonderful event. He's been synonymous with it in recent years during Europe's 3 in a row. And we'll be seeing him very shortly on the main table. He's preparing for that clash with Skylar Woodward. You can see Ralph Eckert there. He's the man with the bag on his shoulder. He'll be the European captain. Jason Shaw, former winner of this title.
Thank you, Steve. 13th rank.
And the only British player left in the championship this year.
Carlo Biado to break.
Impossible to call. It's 6-all.
It looks like our first dry break, and the one's going to open up. So Fedor Gorst, with a shot on the one, can erase that huge mistake in the last game and get on with it here and regain the lead. It looks like our first dry break.
Yeah, first dry break from either player. It's taken us until the 13th rack.
And of course, the break's been working for all these final 16, maybe none more than Alexa Paselj in the last match. But you're going to see some dry breaks. It's just all about the timing of it. And you can see these are grouped together fairly well. The 3 near the 4. The real work is to get on the purple 5 up the table. The 6-7 near over the side. So this is all about what he does best, and that's maintaining.
I was saying there the Hanoi Open will be the last counting event for the 2 Mosconi Cup teams. One place already decided on both teams. Skylar Woodward on the US side and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz for Europe. Shane Van Bonen, of course, is going to get the second place now, isn't he? Because he was leading that race coming here, and the only American left is Woodward. Still a lot to be resolved on the European side. Fedor Gorst came here in pole position to claim the second automatic European spot, which will go to the highest placed player other than Sanchez Ruiz at the end of this event.
Yeah, not a whole lot here left. Definitely always demanding. Excuse me, demanding, and can't afford any silly mistakes. But I think that last mistake he made in the previous game has really grabbed his attention. And Pool, a lot of times, it's not about what you want to do, but more about what needs done. I think that cue ball, he had a decision to play it lighter in the last game when he scratched trying to go 4 rails for a position. He's going to learn from it. Wants to come across, play the 7 on the side, but he wants to carry an angle. Okay, he decided to play for the corner, and the reason why that's so smart is he has a natural path now to go forward to get on the black 8. Probably fell a little straighter than he wanted, so I have to put a little more into this cue ball. Shouldn't be a problem.
So the first dry break of this last 16 match looks like it's going to be exploited to the full by Fedor Gorst. That's why he leads again at 7-6. So Alexa Pechel's already through to the quarters, and Aloysius Yap is 4 racks away from joining him because he now leads Mario He 6-4. I think we're going to take a look over there. That's He at the table, trying to get back to 1 behind. Just looking at that Van Boning situation, now it's confirmed effectively because none of the players who were trying to overtake him are left in the tournament. And that means he's going to play in the Mosconi for the 17th year in a row, equaling the all-time record number of Mosconi Cups played in. Johnny Archer for the US and Ralph Souquet for Europe. I think it's a pretty safe bet he'll overtake that record next year. How many could he get to? 25, 30?
Well, it's kind of up to him. I mean, a little bit anyways. I mean, I don't see him losing his game. He stays in great shape. He still has the fire. And if you're curious about the Mosconi, that's pool's equivalent to the Ryder Cup. It's the top 5 American players against the top Europeans. It rotates every year.
Fedor goes to break, leading 7-6.
And this year is the 30th anniversary. And it'll be right in the heart of London at Ali Pali.
Oh, watch the 9. Oh, it's the golden break. Well, you said that it could be some special moment that proves decisive in this match. Maybe we've just seen it. Fedor Gorst potting the 9 off the break. It's golden. And he's 2 clear.
Yeah, like all sports, they all have some kind of round object because you never know how they're going to roll. And they're a little kiss on the 9 to get a 2-game lead. And oddly enough, a big mistake by Fedor, a dry break following from Carlo, and now a golden break.
I know there are some people who think the golden break shouldn't be a thing, that you should just put the 9 back on the table, but I couldn't agree less. And you see the reaction of the crowd when it happens. Why would you want to take that out of the game? Fedor Gorst loves it at the moment because it's taken him within 2 racks of the quarterfinals in this US Open. Swiftly on then to rack 15.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Michael. I think, you know, you try to make little subtle changes to the game because players in all sports, they just get so much better equipment-wise as, you know, following suit. And try to keep the integrity in the game. That's the key to any rule changes. But the 9 on the break, it's always been there and it should stay. It's definitely something that only comes up here and there, but definitely a quality part of the game.
Yeah, and of course there's a lot of good fortune involved, but it's like all of these things. Some days that'll go in your favor, some days it will go against you.
Absolutely. I remember, I think it was Lee Jansen hit his ball into the tree, end up on the green in the US Open. A lot of times you catch the tree, it's not a good thing. Okay, this needs to slow down just a little bit.
Just to clarify, that was the US Open golf. No balls going up trees in the US Open
No,
pool. Not that I know of anyway.
No, absolutely right.
Jansen, the winner at Bolter's Roll in '93 and Olympic Club in '98.
Yeah, and it was incredible. He beat Payne Stewart, and then Payne Stewart went on to win the next year at Pinehurst. Big fan of both those guys. Big fan of both these guys. Okay, just a little touchy through traffic with the cue ball. The 3's not a hard shot. We all know how tough the middle pockets are, so if you're not straight in, you know, and he's got a little angle here to a very shallow opening into the side, so all parts needed on this shot.
Just to correct something I was saying earlier, it isn't Filler and Ko Ping Chung next on after the Peychelj match finished. It's actually Daniel Maciol of Poland, who beat Francisco Sanchez Ruiz yesterday, and Hong Kong's Robbie Capito, so they're getting started now. Filler and Ko Ping Chung will follow on from the Yap versus He match, in which He has got it back to one behind now at 6-5.
Man, Fedor Gorst doing great things out there right now. You kind of feel for Carlo at the moment. You know, dry break you can't predict. And he did miss the one on the side, but you occasionally get other balls down. Not the case, and he hasn't been back to the table since. But again, like we talked about earlier, and we always talk about with the Filipino players, they're going to stay focused, have a ton of heart, just waiting for the opportunity.
Well, the break this time wasn't golden like it was in the previous rack, but it turned out very well, and is going to have the same net effect in the form of Gorst winning the rack. With that run of 3 in a row, he gets to the hill at 9-6. Well, they've come looking to see some of the finest pool on the planet. They haven't been disappointed in this match. What a way this is to start our weekend phase of the US Open. Such a global lineup. Sorry, JJ, I was just going to say, you've got 2 players each from Poland, Germany, Austria. There's so many other countries represented at this stage. Hong Kong, the Philippines, Serbia, USA, Britain, Chinese Taipei, Portugal, Spain, Singapore. What other sport would you get that in?
None that I know of.
Is that no break?
We talk about tennis, it's so global, the big Grand Slam events, but I don't know, I can't think of many times where you go to the last 16 of one of the big tournaments and see that many countries spread so far and wide throughout the world still represented.
Yeah, we have new countries coming on, and the ones that have played it for a long time, it seems to be growing even more. I mentioned South America earlier. It's actually a continent that they play a ton of 9-ball, and I think they're starting to evolve, and we're going to see a champion from there soon.
Leading by 9
We saw matches won here by players from Peru, Venezuela, so that backs up what you're saying. Fedor Gorst then needs 1 of the 4 potential remaining racks.
And this part of it is what we didn't get to see, but we assumed being in the booth, me and you, Michael. We saw some of his score lines, you know, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, and you just imagine he's got the break tuned in and keeping his opponent in the chair, and that's what's happening to end this first match in the final 16.
Look at the 4 and the 5, both conspiring there, giving the 2 little nudges to put it into perfect position.
And the angle is the pool player's best friend, and he doesn't have much here, so getting closer to the 3 may be difficult. And then you see a 4-5 combination that is probably going to have to be played later on, and that's not easy either. You know, when you're playing well, you accept the difficult situations. You don't try to cheat them any kind of way. You know, you just got to bear down and knock some balls in. Looks like he's going to try and cheat it to move the 4. Oh, that makes things makes all the difference in the world there. Now he can shoot the 3 and not have to really work the cue ball much. The pink four's open. Well, I was going to say that was probably the shot to finish the match, but it wasn't to be for Fedor Gorst, and now here that opportunity for Carlo Biado. What can he do?
Well, when Biado went out of this US Open in defence of his title last year, he went down fighting. He was 7-2 down against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, as I was saying earlier, and got back into it, then trailed 10-6. Won 4 in a row to take it hill. He did ultimately lose, but showed great fighting qualities.
Well, if my memory serves me well, he trailed Aloysius Yap pretty decent in that final. He won a couple years ago, so it's one thing about pool players, they never give up.
And when you consider all that history he's had of showing that great steel towards the end of big matches, that young man sitting in his chair knows this is still very firmly up in the air.
Yeah, especially when you're given the opportunity to win. It seems like, you know, Carlo, after he gets out here, and assuming he does, you feel like he's going to break and get a shot and have his own opportunity to win this match.
Sometimes you say about a match it's had a bit of everything. Well, this one really has. A lot of break and runs, a golden break, a few little mistakes along the way, because you need those for a memorable match as well. The one thing it looked as though we were going to be denied was a close finish, because Fedor Gorst was ruining any prospect of that. Now all of a sudden it's very much alive again.
Yeah, and must be a little angle here on the 8, but I don't think Carlo will let that last dry break affect him in the next. Just keep doing what he's been doing on the breaking in the entire match and see if the balls agree.
He's a great player, a great champion. Like all the wonderful Filipino stars, he's a great fighter, and he's fighting on in this match. Carlo Biado still in it at 9-7 down. It's day 5 of the US Open. We're enjoying the last 16 here, and it will be the quarterfinals tonight from 9:30 UK time, Sky Sports Arena. The place to join us for that. Fantastic match going on here. Fedor Gorst 9-6 up on Carlo Biado, the champion of 2 years ago. But of course, as we're seeing here, just one little mistake can change everything against a player of Biado's class.
Yeah, Biado only needs 3 games to get to 10. Federer's in the chair. I mean, you got to figure Federer's a little favorite, but not much.
Thank you. It's the 17th rack. Carlo Biado to break. Trailing by 7 racks to 9.
I was about to say it looked like the break was going to leave him again at the wrong time, but the one got a kind of a double, triple kiss into the side. Looked like he took a little speed off that, and I don't think it was intentional. Well, it's been the long blue 2 ball, the long ball for Carlo that I think kind of got him going. Really got the confidence and the adrenaline in the right place, and now another big one to keep him in the match. Now this is odd. You know, if he goes forward, he doesn't want to roll it softly. You don't want to do that from a long ways away. If he draws it, he's kind of going into the 6 with the cue ball. Boy, is that a sign of a champion to be able to drag the cue ball softly from some 6-7 feet away, and you know your tournament life is over if you miss it.
Well, there isn't a player who came here to Atlantic City this week who wouldn't have fancied their chances of being able to play that shot. But how many of them could have done it in those circumstances?
Yeah, and you know, if you hit the ball hard, right, and you miss it, you have a chance of getting a little fortunate with a safety. To play it the way he did is not only more difficult, but you know it's over if you miss. The 2's going to be near or probably over the pocket, and I'll tell you, that was probably the correct way to play it, but there would have been probably 200 players out of that 256 that couldn't pull that trigger.
It's all about having these weapons in your locker, isn't it? The ability to see
please.
2 different ways of playing the shot, knowing that one of them is harder, but also knowing it's the right way, and still being willing to play it even though you're making it more difficult for yourself because you know the rewards will be greater. These are the things that make the difference.
Yeah, when the pressure's highest, you know, you trying to not get away from what's correct is not what you normally do. So you can't let the situation really manhandle your decisions.
But what's happened here?
Oh, a big decision, and he can't reach it. You know, if he could reach it, he may play a kiss shot on the 9. You got to believe it's a safety otherwise. So he's going to try and run the cue ball a few rails behind the 6. This is not the easiest to kind of command on the new felt. Well, he did a great job with the object ball, even though the cue ball didn't get all the way there.
And the pressure was mounting there. He had 1 second left, and he's used his extension in this rack.
Now there's a really 1 or 2 ways to hit this ball, and they're both very similar, coming off this left long rail and then on the bottom rail. This is one that'll have some speed.
The extension, please.
On the new felt, even though the 5's, you know, a good diamond up off this bottom cushion, you can still kind of hold the ball. Meaning when you hit the 5, try and keep the cue ball in that kind of similar position the 5's in. And then you just kind of hope the 5 kind of exit this end of the table and leave some separation. Like that. You see how the cue ball stuck nicely. He's going to fluke the 6.
Look at this, look at this. Did I say we've had everything in this match?
Well, you can't say that Federer has relied on luck, but there's been a little on his side. Now's the time to take advantage. You saw a big cheer there, and in America they love all the pool players from around the world, but Federer's spent a lot of time here the last couple of years, and he has developed a huge fan base.
Be a horrible way for a great champion like Biado to see the end of his US Open campaign if this is to be the conclusion of this contest.
Yeah, and that 7 right there hasn't completely closed the door, but there's not much left.
Fedor Gorst led 3-0. He was pegged back to 3-all. Took the next rack, but then lost 2 in a row to fall behind for the first time at 5-4. Since then, it's been 5-all. It's been 6-all. From there, a golden break helped him pull away to 9-6. He had a chance to get this match won in the previous rack. Let Biado back in. It went 9-7, but Fedor Gorst, with the help of a bit of fortune there, has won the 17th rack. He's duly applauded by Carlo Biado, and the whole crowd here want to show their appreciation too at the end of a wonderful contest which has taken Fedor Gorst through to our quarter-finals.